they were throwing their arms around me, and I was like, hello, and they were like, oh, it's fantastic. And then it all kind of went quiet, and then I looked at them, they looked at me, and they went, you don't know who we are, do you? I'm like, no. They were like, we're 3 of your writers.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So I've got Carl Broadbent. That's how I say your last name, right, Carl? Broadbent?
It is, yeah, definitely.
All right, I love it because I've been saying it that way to myself out loud for the last about year that I've kind of hanging out with you on YouTube. So good. I'm glad I've got that right, man. And we didn't talk a lot before this because I told you I just want to go live and chat. My goal is to make at least 25 new connections online with people that are doing the same stuff. We're all building these businesses online, and we interact sometimes maybe on YouTube or on Twitter or whatever. And to me, it's just a fun way to actually connect with people. So people that are in the space. So my first question is this. I'm sure you went to school for this, right? To build websites and to run an event, right? I mean, that's everyone's background. So I'm sure it's your background.
We absolutely taught that when I went to school 40 odd years ago. Yeah, that was the number one class, website design and building.
Exactly.
I think it was chalkboard and slate.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, from what I know, no one has a background in this stuff. Like, how did you get into it? Like, how did you actually get into the website space?
So I was doing the corporate job, trying to climb that corporate ladder, and it all just came crashing down. Literally, a big corporation that I worked for suddenly said, we've sold the UK division of this branch. It was a big fast food restaurant. And they said, we've sold it, and you go with the company. And I was like, what? They're like, who am I going with? And they were like, you're going with whoever buys the company. I was like, well, I've been building my career up with you guys because you're such a big company. I thought it could lead to something bigger, but it looked like it was going to kind of backpedal a bit, and I'd be ended up, working for a very small company, and which didn't have all the benefits that this blue chip company had. So I kind of thought to myself, okay, I don't want to do this. So they just said, well, you can resign or go with the company. I said, okay, well, I'll resign then. So I just kind of find myself looking for another job, and then I found another job pretty quickly. And within a week, I came home and I just sat there and I just thought, here we go again. 7, 8, 9 years climbing the corporate ladder. There must be something different out there. And I got the laptop out on the kitchen table and I just searched how to make money from home. And I was one of the lucky ones. I fell into a group of people online on YouTube that were really helpful, kind of honest, and realistic more than anything. I didn't fall into that trap of, click this button and you'll earn $500 a day for the rest of your life. I didn't fall into that trap. So I was lucky enough to fall into the right kind of space. And it was really exciting. Almost 4.5 years ago now, it was really buzzing the space that I was in, which was niche website building. And just kind of got hooked almost from day one. As soon as I built the website and I showed it to my wife and proved that it was possible that somebody like me, an absolute techno fool, can do it, I was hooked. I just thought, if I can do it, wow, there's something in this.
Okay. So when you were doing the research, make money from home, so funny that's like so many people's search, right? Like, how can I make money online? Or how can I start a side hustle? Or how can I make money from home or whatever? And then they go into the land of opportunity, right? And like find all these options that are out there. I mean, I'm assuming you probably saw a bunch of different things, I guess. Like, how did you feel good about or land on the website thing? And is that the only thing that you tried, or did you like try other stuff too?
Yeah, no, I got hooked straight away on kind of building a website and the affiliate income, displayed revenue that could make. The only reason I did it is because, like I said, the first thing that came up was somebody on YouTube saying, I'll show you step by step how to build a website. It was a gentleman called Alex over at WP Eagle on YouTube. And it had about 4.5 hour tutorial. And I just followed it step by step. And within, well, not 4 hours, but about 7 hours, pausing the video, doing something, pausing it, doing it, playing, just like that, on and off. And by the end of the night, I had a website. It was fully functioning, up and running. And it didn't get much traffic. And then I just carried on. And then eventually, started to get a little bit of traffic to it. And it was a kind of something I've always been interested in. It was film related. Monty Python, that's what it was. Huge Monty Python fan. And I thought I'd build like a fan website. And I started to list a few t-shirts on Amazon on there and a few mugs and things. And I started to get a few sales and a few clicks. And I kind of thought, okay, this is actually possible. You can actually make money online. Although the first month, just looking back, I was on a podcast the other day and I looked at my accounts before I went on that. And kind of 4.5 years later, I looked at my revenue now, and way back 4.5 years ago now, my first month was $1.26. And I
Oh
can
man.
remember how buzzing I was to get that. I was thrilled. And that's what clicked. I thought, this is possible. You can do it.
I was gonna ask you if when you made that first sale or those first couple of sales, like, was that really exciting for you? And obviously it was.
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned it to my wife, and my wife's like, "How much is that?" I said, "It's $1.26." She's like, "What is that in British pounds?" I'm like, "About 80 pence." She was like, "You're not going to make
Yeah,
a living off of that, are you?" And I was like, No, but if I
yeah.
can make that dollar, I can make more dollars, surely."
Exactly. That belief for you and for someone like me or whoever's getting started, that belief, yeah, it's much more powerful for you than it is for others that you tell. Obviously, because it's like you did the thing and you built a site and you're like, okay, great. Step one, I actually accomplished that, and that's an accomplishment in itself
Yeah,
if you've never done that before, right? Like actually
de-
putting a
definitely
site
for me.
together, getting it's like getting your first bit of traffic you're also
Yeah,
excited about, like looking at maybe like Google Search Console and seeing the first clicks come in. You're like, this is awesome. Like people are actually finding this website. And then, another step I feel like after that is, kind of making your first whatever, making your first dollar online or some sort of sale. And there's steps to be celebrated, I think, like that's, yeah,
100%.
really
100%.
exciting.
I wish I'd have got that payout in kind of a check or something that I could have framed, because
Yeah.
it'd be here now on my wall. It'd be like,
Yeah.
I remember it was January 2017. I think it was. It'd say $1.26, and I'd be, that's where it started.
I love it. Okay, so go ahead, fast forward for me to today. I'm just curious, like what you're working on today. Are you working on multiple sites? I know you're running an event. We're gonna talk about that too
Mm.
because I have mad respect for event production. I don't know if you remember this, but I commented on YouTube last year and I was just like really excited for you because I've done this. I've created a local event in my city for businesses and entrepreneurs, and I know how much hard work that takes. So let's circle back to that event. But what does your business look like in the sense of like websites? Do you work on one, multiple? What does that look
Yeah.
like?
Okay. So, I mean, I've been documenting my journey on YouTube, and I've always had multiple websites. I always thought it was the safest option. But only recently, I've always done public case studies. I've always done
Mhm.
income reports. I've been honest and open. I've shared everything on YouTube. In my accountant thinks I'm crazy. She's like, "You put your accounts on YouTube?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Every penny?" I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "Oh
Yeah,
my god, yeah, with this is reckless." And I'm like, "Well, what can happen?" I'm just being honest and showing what you can make, what you can't.
yeah.
I've built websites where I've lost. I built one where I called it my mega website. It was going to be a huge website, so broad. I was going to rank for every keyword under the sun, and it was an absolute failure. And it zapped about $20,000 in about 8 months. I just threw about $20,000 of content onto it, thinking I could rank for everything, and just foolhardy. I got a bit above my status, I think, thinking, I know this system. I know how to do it, and
S-
yeah.
So question on that one.
Mm.
At that point, did you say completely it's done, or is it sitting on the sidelines and maybe over time it could still grow, or is it a completely scrap project?
Yeah, I'd recently just sold it. I
Okay.
publicized on YouTube. I said, "Listen, this is where it is." I've showed the progress, and it actually started to get a bit of traffic, but it was so slow. I mean, most websites I can get to a reasonable position in about 12 to 14 months. This one was almost 2 years down the line, and it was getting around 10 or 11,000 page views, something like that. So, I'd expect that after month 7 or 8, 9, something like that. So it was just such a slow burner, but it started to take off. And I've always said that I'd never sell a website that was on a downward decline. I'd always wait. And it never dropped. It never dropped off a cliff or anything. It was just so painfully slow. So I just said, you know what? I've got to focus more. And it was an event I recently went to that I spoke to some top level publishers. I mean, we're talking crazy, crazy numbers. And every single one of them had one factor that they all kept saying, and that just caught me. They'd all worked on one project. It might have been for 10 years, it might have been for 20 years. They had all worked on one website, all put that down to their success, that there wasn't sidetracks, there wasn't watering or diluting their time. It was all pure focus. And I came home, it was in America, and I came home and I just thought, I've got to do that. So one of the reasons why I got rid of that mega site that failed, I just said to somebody, listen, it's on the upward trajectory now. Do you want to take it over? They purchased it and they're doing great things with it. So I'll wait and see what happens with that in the future. I'll be, excited to keep an eye on that. But yeah, so I've had multiple websites and decided now's the time to kind of really, really focus on one. So I've started a new website case study on YouTube,
Okay.
and I'm not going to reveal the domain, but I am going to tell the nation, show the story, and see how we go. But it's a big, big project for me. I'm going to really focus on it for a year.
That's really exciting. Okay, so you kind of shedding the, let's call it, whatever other projects you want to
Yeah.
full on focus on a single brand because that's what you just learned. And that was actually, that's interesting for me, and I love asking people that too, like, because I feel like people have big differing opinions on that, rather focus on multiple sites to diversify or like one single brand. People are very passionate about that on either side. I feel like there's a lot of chatter,
Yeah.
about that. I don't know if there's a right answer, but I love what you're doing. Like to focus on one, I think is really cool.
I
So
mean, there are people that manage multiples. There's a lady called Anne. She has like 27 websites, 60 writers. Her management system for running that is a full-time job.
exactly.
So I also got to that point as well where I just couldn't stop my brain. It was constantly thinking about every single one website. Let's say I had 7 at one point. I think I had 15, but I think I had 7 at one point. And even with 7, every day I think, oh, I'll do a little bit on that, and then a little bit on that, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. They were all growing, but I wouldn't say hugely successful. So, yeah, I mean, so in the website space, definitely focusing on one project, but I've multiple projects. As an affiliate marketer, I'm doing all sorts of stuff. But on the
Yeah.
websites, really focusing on one.
I I like that. I'm facing some of that myself in websites. I have probably a handful of brands. Two that I really focus on. I think you talked about that on YouTube as well about sharing the domains.
Yeah.
As a case study, it's very interesting, and a lot of people will say it's not worth the downside, of doing that. Everyone's very secretive about domains. I like that you are open about it. I think it's cool. What are your thoughts now? Just curious, like the pros and cons of that.
If you are just building websites, that is your primary day-to-day job. That's what you do. Do not share your
Yeah,
domains. There is no return. Absolutely not. If you're like me, an affiliate marketer, YouTuber, for me, it was about getting kind of me as a brand out there to people.
yeah,
I wanted to be open, trustworthy, just where I can really help people without having an ulterior motive. So I've always said I'll never bring a course out or anything like that, which nothing against them, but I just wanted to just build my brand up, showing people what I do publicly.
yeah.
Naively, I thought, even if I mention in a few videos, please do not copy this article or this keyword, people wouldn't do it, but they do. And if you're doing that as your living, your website will be copied within hours of being on YouTube, literally hours.
That is so interesting. I guess the other part of that I find, here's been my question on why does it matter or why should it be secretive? Because I'm like, if the top people are using tools, then they're already, you're already doing research on competitors and who's out there or whatever. But I guess if you specifically mention your domain, I guess what you're doing
Mhm.
is kind of, I guess you're amplifying that. So instead of someone maybe finding you eventually and going, "Oh, okay, cool, let's see what they rank for," I guess you're putting a spotlight on yourself and saying, "This is who I am, and yeah, please go check me out." And
Well,
I guess,
If you're doing YouTube and you're showing keyword research and things like that,
yeah,
when I think back, I've done screenshots of, inside your WordPress dashboard, and you go to post and it'll show maybe 15 of your articles. And when I think back, I've done screenshots of that where I've said, "Hey, I've just published this article," and I've screenshot it and I've showed it in a video. And when I think back, that's the 15 articles that I've just published that's not had
uh,
time to rank, that's not getting backlinks. So literally, it's like, if they write and publish them at the same time I've just done, we're
yeah,
fighting against each other, So it's not as if
yeah,
I'm saying I've had 6 months to rank this keyword, you won't beat me. They were vulnerable. So yeah, but it did the purpose. It showed people that you can build websites. It shows people how to find keywords. It got me out there, got my face known. So it's opened a lot of doors as an affiliate marketer. And like you said, the event now that I run, I would not be able to do that without people knowing who I was. So
yeah. Good
that's
point.
a vital factor for me.
Let's actually switch to that because I think that's a really neat thing. The event. So it's in the UK, right? It's not
Yeah.
on my side. I'm in what we call LA, which is not the not the LA it's Lower Alabama. I'm in that LA. That's where I live. But the event is it's in May. Is that right?
Yeah, it's 19th of May in York. We class kind of York and this UK event as our main base. Hopefully, there'll always be one here, but we are trying to expand and go further afield. We've now got socials that we're holding, little meetups where we can go further afield and get people interested in holding one. So, like for instance, you could say, "Yeah, I'm in LA. I'll hold an affiliate gathering social for you," and you could arrange and meet 20, 30 people under our banner where we can promote you, we can get it out there, we've got a much broader reach than just you may have on your own. So
I'll throw up the website
um
while we're chatting. Yeah, that's a neat idea. Actually, I'm gonna riff on that with you and just so affiliategathering.com is where people would go, right?
yeah,
The
sure,
website.
that's the main event. We've got speakers
Yep.
coming. Last year was the first one we ever did. Like I say, huge gamble, just in the midst of COVID, coming out of COVID lockdown. Huge financial risk for me alone to put that event on. But I just, with everything going on with Google updates and AI technology and all this, it is vital that we connect and talk and have a support group. And I just wanted somewhere where I could just, like we've just said, meet people and have that rock that we all turn to. And I've got it. I've got my own little network of people where if I wake up in the morning, my site's been hit, I pick up the phone or I jump on a Skype chat with someone else, say, "Hey, has this happened to you?" "Yeah, it's the same, Carl. We're all experiencing it. You're not on your own." And it's kind of just gives you that support to go, okay, well, I'm not going to rip my website apart then. I've not done anything wrong. It's just an update.
Yeah, so when I saw you announcing that last year for the first year, I mean, I thought it was great. Yeah, the event that I did in my city was for entrepreneurs, and then our year two was going into the COVID year, and we were marketing, and we canceled, and then so I've now
Mm.
scrapped the idea. Related to you of kind of cleaning your websites off the side, that's something that I've spent the last year doing. Is kind of so I had a local brick and mortar business, an event based business. The online business has just been really interesting to me for a long time. But I said, man, I've really got to be able to focus, even if it's a few different brands or websites. I'm like, everything I do has to be able to like connect and relate. And so I've spent the last year kind of getting rid of some of my other businesses. It took the whole year to like clean up stuff and be able
Mm.
to get to the point where I can focus. But it's what's allowing me to be able to do stuff like this in 2023, be able to reach out to people and say, cool, I want to, make 25 videos with people in the online space and be able to, build more connections. And so I feel like that's what you're doing with Affiliate Gathering.
Yeah, I mean,
Bravo to
it's
you from last year. I thought it was awesome. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I mean, some of the best feedback we got was from people who still tell me, "Oh, I've just had a chat with so and so. I met him at the affiliate gathering. I've just gone for a coffee with this guy or this lady." There's those connections that were made last year are still there.
Yeah.
And what's great is that everybody's already contacting me saying, "The guy who I met there last year, I'm meeting up with him at the train station. We're going in together." And we've got fringe events the night before where everybody can socialize and have a drink and meet each other. So if they're a little bit worried about going to the event on their own, hopefully they'll meet some friends the night before. So we've kind of got all these things in place, but it's called affiliate gathering for that reason. It's a gathering of people, friends, colleagues, businesses. It's just a gathering. It's not like a hardcore SEO mastermind. If you're experienced, you can come along. If you haven't even got a website, come along. I mean, to give you an example, and I always say this in any interview I ever do, a good friend of mine, Sean Mars, who's a very, very experienced, website builder, SEO guy, he came and on the first person he met in the corridor was somebody that spotted him from YouTube. And he came
Oh,
to me
cool.
and he said, "You will not believe this, Carl. I've just got the best keyword research tip I've ever heard of. This technique that this guy's using has blown my mind." And he's been doing it for like 20 years, something. He said, and this guy's a newbie. He's his first website. He said, and he's just giving this tip, and I'm blown away by it. And that was the first person he spoke to.
How cool. How cool. Can you
Yeah.
can you share the tip? Or do you know what the
He
tip
didn't
is?
tell me. He didn't even tell me. He
He
said,
kept that one to himself. He was
yeah,
like, "This is
he just said
so
it.
great."
He said it's really simple, but I never thought about it. He said, and yeah, he said, I'm itching to get home. I said, "You've only just come." He said, I want to get home and get it into practice." But that was
Ye
amazing for somebody so experienced as him to say a newbie had given this tip within minutes of being in, and that was what I always call kind of the corridor chats. Where you just
exactly.
you're getting a coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you take away, always the best thing is the small little side groups or someone that you bump into with some serendipity and just have a conversation. That's always the coolest things about an event, and that makes them all worth it. And
100%. Yeah.
and then what you just said about the keyword thing is really exciting to me. It's one of the reasons I like to just get together with other entrepreneurs and just have a brainstorm and we're chatting. I know that if I have other creative people with me, and I bring an idea, it's only going to get
Yeah.
amplified by whoever I'm kind of pinging it with.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what he got, right? He's been in his lane for a long time. He's an expert, but he got a new, fresh idea from a new perspective. And
Yeah. Also, I mean, like Q&A panel we had should have gone on for about an hour, went on for almost like 2 hours because everybody just wanted to get them burning questions off the chest and ask somebody because it's very difficult in YouTube to ask a question because you can't show examples, you can't share your domains or anything like that. So for them to be able to say, listen, I've got a problem and this is happening. Most of the experts and people that were there were like, come to the side afterwards, show me. And people getting the phones out and say, look at this. I remember we were in the midst of a Google update and everybody were getting, really hit hard with traffic. And there was one lady there in particular, and she was crying. She was like, my site's gone. And I remember talking to one gentleman from Ezoic, who's John, one of the co-founders of Ezoic. And he took her aside and he just, really calmed her down and give us some inspiration, advice, and motivation. And it was like, just relax, it'll come back. I've seen this before. Then we're about 8 weeks later, she just emailed me and said, he was right. It's all back. Life's good. Great. So
yeah,
that support she got was incredible.
that's really interesting. I feel like just as entrepreneurs, we kind of need that from each other in general as
Ooh,
well,
yeah.
because it can be a very emotional roller coaster. I mean, when your
Yeah.
sites are booming and ramping up, that's amazing. But then if you get hit with some core update or you're just dramatic decrease in site traffic, like I have that happen. A friend of mine that I do kind of a mastermind call, a little group. He just had that happen. It's very interesting. It's good to have people that you can connect with and talk with, to try to be level headed and look at things and kind of give you some ideas or assurance or whatever.
Yeah, I think
Um,
even for your successes, everybody always says, you need that support for when things are going bad. What about when things are going good? Sometimes you just need to say, "Hey, Brooks,
first,
I'm doing fantastic.
yeah,
How are you doing, mate?" Yeah, me too.
yeah,
One of my best friends has a website, and I love to hear when he's doing good. I'm like, don't always text me when things are bad.
yeah.
Give me some good news. And he texted me and said, had record month on Amazon, or my traffic's just my RPM's good. That support is good because it spurs you on, knowing that others are doing good. Even maybe if you're not, it might just give you that motivation to go, do you know what? I'm going to carry on. I'm going to carry on.
That's a great takeaway, actually, Carl. That's a good point. Yeah, don't just share the downs,
Yeah.
share the wins too, and let's celebrate. Let's
Yeah.
celebrate each other. What's going on?
100%. Yeah.
That's really cool. So, and just so people know, this isn't like it's not like a pitch for affiliate gathering. Although, like, I want everyone that I chat with, I want them to tell me everything that they're working on, whether it's courses or events or
Mhm.
your websites, or if you have products. Like, the reason why is because I'm that fellow entrepreneur, and I think our listeners are going to be people that are maybe thinking of their own creative ideas and things that they want to create as well. I actually, Carl, earlier you said something about you not being a course guy. I'm like, man, I think you should totally eventually create some sort of educational product. I don't know if you're like a never or if you're a never say never kind of guy. I'm not
I,
sure.
yeah,
Um,
I'd create a course to like build my email list or something like that.
yeah,
I've always said that I'll try and give as much value as I can for free.
yeah,
So, but if it means, I'll create a course and you give me your email address and I might send you the odd email with an affiliate link in, then, that's the world we live in. So,
yeah,
that I do that. And I say I have nothing against whether you do a course. It's the same as affiliate links,
yep.
people will say, you send another email with an affiliate link in. That's how I make my living. That's
Yeah,
kind of
exactly. And part of my selfish reason for that is because I have this thing about I'm not against traditional education, but I'm like, there's clearly a disruption and there's different ways and it's not the path for everyone. So I'm like, hey, as many people that can create additional educational products for people,
yeah,
I'm all about it, on a personal level.
yeah.
Because you did that same thing, right? You Googled how to make money from home. You found someone and you found your way. And so yeah, I guess from my standpoint, I'm just like, man, as many ways that we can give people that are seeking that kind of information, that's a win. Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean, just having the options out there. I was thinking about this before we came on. That like I say, I've done a lot of things in this space, but there's so much I haven't done, and there's YouTube, I've done a bit of YouTube. I've not really gone into it, full-heartedly. Email lists and funnels, and I've not even gone into that wholeheartedly. E-commerce, drop shipping, there's all sorts. So I thought about that today. I thought, if I wasn't doing the affiliate gathering, I wasn't doing websites, what would I do? And I just thought I'd have loads of time to do other stuff. So there's
Yeah.
always something to do.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're definitely a control by our time. But no, your YouTube, it's funny because if I look at it this way, your channel is 5 times the size of mine. If I want to look at it like that in the sense of subscribers, right? So you have like close to 10,000. And that can seem like our channels can seem tiny and small compared to the big channels out there, but we're actually like in a top tier
Mm.
of YouTube people that create content. And I have to remind myself of that actually sometimes that like, oh, I forget what the stats are, but it is pretty staggering that like like your channel's definitely in the top 5%
Yeah, if you
of
look
creators.
at interaction and kind of user experience data and stuff, then my channel does really well. You can compare that to somebody who's a friend of mine's got 70, 80,000 subscribers, but
Yep.
hardly gets any comments, hardly any thumbs up. So the
Interesting.
interaction, if you look at all my videos, there's always 30, 40 thumbs up or comments, or so it's quite an active community. And I suppose that's probably like an email list. You can have a very small targeted, what I call a clean list,
Yeah.
where everybody is interested in it, or you could have one with 20,000 people in it and nobody opens it, nobody reads it. So I think it just depends on your target audience. And it does when you're building YouTube, it is a little disappointing to see the numbers going up so slowly.
Yep.
But as long as it's a true growth and, like I say, a true follow base on YouTube, then I'm okay with that.
For me, it's funny. So there's a guy like Roberto Blake. I actually met him recently. I saw him I stopped him I was like, "Are you Roberto?" He said, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Anyway, he's probably like whatever half a million subscribers. Talks about YouTube. He talks about like what it actually takes. Like you're like no one's gonna watch when you first get started or whatever. Like you need to make 100 videos just to even realize what you're about or like what your
Yeah.
voice is even going to be and like yeah, like me hearing that from other people is the only reason probably like I'm still going. I'm like, well, I kind of have two options in YouTube. It's really simple. It's like you just quit and you just stop making content, or you just keep improving and keep making content and keep figuring out how to get better. And the way I see it is like over time, I have no choice but to eventually have a 6-figure income stream from YouTube if I stay on that trajectory. So it's kind of like you can kind of just keep it simple, you can kind of create content and just keep improving.
Yeah, I
Or
mean, I always treat YouTube with it's like a double-edged sword with me, because I really do, like say, I want to focus on my one website now, my one website case study, and then every day I think to myself, right, okay, I'm going to publish a load more content, and then I end up spending 3 hours filming a YouTube video. And when you look at I speak to some people, they're really successful in the industry, they don't publicize it, but they look at me and they just go, why are you wasting a day on YouTube when you could have published 4 articles or whatever? And I'm just like, I know, but I think over the long term, I think it gives me a platform to do other
yeah,
things. So I think
yeah,
that's why I stick to it. Plus, I just like sharing. I like sharing stuff.
yeah.
When I get a thought, I just jump on camera and just share it. So not very well edited or anything. I'm just going to tell you. If I'm doing it in my day-to-day life, you might be interested in it. So I'll share it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I am with you. I hear what those people are saying for sure. But like at the end of the day, you also have to choose to do things that bring you joy and that you
Mm.
enjoy, that you
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
In addition to money, obviously, like we're trying to grow businesses and pay our bills and stuff and grow stuff. Like to me, just growing stuff is fun. But one of my parameters is like, am I having fun doing this? Like, am I enjoying it? And if my answer is no, then I want to do less of that. If my answer is yes, I want to do more of that. And whatever money or revenue may be a secondary thing below that question for me. And that's just how that's how I operate. Um, yeah, I just think there's not clear cut answers for everything when people are giving us that advice.
yeah. I mean, for me, I like the interaction that with YouTube. If I've got a comment or a thought, I can make a video about it, and I know hundreds of people are going to see it within minutes.
Yeah.
It's a really good feeling, and if it's something that can help somebody out, or my videos tend to either be not so much tutorials, but basically I've done this on my website. This is just worked. Get on it, or
Yep.
I'll say, "Hey guys, don't be worrying. I know you're panicking about this. just relax, or it's kind of just, easing people's minds often. And it's just like I say, if it was a financial thing, if that was my only income, I don't think I'd be doing the content and the stuff I'm sharing. I think I'd be doing more evergreen content that's going to be around on YouTube for years, and that watch time builds up and stuff. I'd be doing more of that, but it's not my main income stream. So by
Yeah.
any means, I mean, YouTube is, oh goodness. I mean, not just talking the revenue from YouTube, it's probably 1% of my business.
Yeah, but I still can't stop thinking about YouTube being the number 2 search engine in the world, and that's not, I'm like, man, there's just long-term huge
Yeah.
opportunity there, even if currently maybe it's a small percentage. It's same for me as well, like small, very small, fraction of income, but I'm like, long term,
Yeah.
I think this can actually be a big fraction of income.
I mean,
So I continue to build there.
using YouTube as a second search engine, and tying all that together with your website or your brand is phenomenal. Like I say, I just published a video this morning, and I just searched. I didn't search on YouTube to see where it was, but I went on Google to see where it was, and it popped up straight away in the search results, and within minutes. So that shows you the power of that, because I couldn't get an article in the top position within minutes like that, but I got a video up there. So yeah, as part of your business and strategy, YouTube can't be underestimated for that.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great point. You said something earlier. You're like, speaking of worry or apprehension, it was something. I was like, okay. Speaking of that, I want to talk about AI a little bit, because like you can't have a chat today without chat. That's ironic. Chat GPT. You can't have a talk or a coffee chat and not talk about AI or tools or like what we think's going on for the industry and changes and all that.
That was my video this morning.
I love it.
A Google's Bard, BARD. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well, then you've got some fresh thoughts. Obviously we could go for just hours on AI and tools and what we think or whatever. But like, I just want to get what are your thoughts? You just put out that video. So like, what are your thoughts like for the industry in the next, I don't know, 12 or 24 months or whatever?
I think in the short term, not a lot's going to change. I think certainly in a year, we're not going to see everything totally change. We're going to see some search results displayed differently in Google. We've seen that all year, whether it be the loss of snippet bans, whether it be videos in the top search bar. We've had e-commerce in the top search bar overwritten. We've seen all those changes, and like I say, the Google's latest announcement, how they brought out their AI tool to rival ChatGPT, then we're going to see they're going to play around with it, and we're going to see some difference in the search results. Long term, I think there's lots of opportunities there. I think a lot of people will bow out of the system and the game. I think a lot of people will just go, I'm not into AI. I'm not into this. It's not why I got into this business. I can't compete. There will be a lot of people jump ship and try something different, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's each to their own. I think some people will embrace it and really run with it and do very well with it. As a blogger, and this is what we always seem to talk about ChatGPT and these AI tools in blogging terms. Remember, these tools wasn't designed for bloggers. Google didn't sit there and say, let's create an AI tool that everybody can use to write rubbish content.
Exactly.
Flood the SERPs with millions of content that we can't index, we can't control. It wasn't made for that, but it's a tool that can help you for sure. I use ChatGPT particularly with the extensions. I use the Chrome extensions that people have kindly built and put out there. And I use those for things like, I'm even using them for keyword research now. I'll ask for a structure of an article, a metadata description. I did calculators. I keep creating calculators for everything. I just go, ChatGPT, create me a calculator for taxi fares in London. And it just, boom, there you go. HTML code, done.
So like, did that calculator not already exist? Like, if you Googled that calculator, was there not one and ChatGPT just created it? Or
there probably is one. Yeah, there probably is one. But I just thought, I have an article. I had an article about taxi fares, and I just thought, what a great way to boost the user experience by giving them an inbuilt calculator. It took 10 seconds, HTML code. It did it, and it didn't look pretty. And I even said, can you make this look prettier? Put a box around it, create a blue heading, and it just does it. It's crazy. Now, for me, that's a tool that can enhance that blog post.
Hmm.
So I like using it for things like that. Give me a chart, give me a list, give me a pie chart, a listicle. I'll use it for all kinds of things like that. What I'm not doing, which is where I think people are getting it wrong, is telling it, write me 1,000 words on can this do that. That's the kind of content we need to stay away from.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that. Like, yeah, it's probably not the right way to do it. Yeah, I feel like for me, it's been useful for definitely for getting like creative titles and things
Yeah.
like that. Definitely some structure stuff. Like, I'm treating it like a junior, kind of like a junior marketing person. Like, I have a marketing person beside me, and I'm like, hey, instead of my brain starting from
Yeah.
scratch, I give it an idea, and then I want that person or brain to give me some more creative ideas, and I'm like, oh wow, that one's better than mine. You know.
Yeah,
So that's
I did my first video was exactly that, using ChatGPT to create headline titles. So like I say, if you search on my YouTube playlist, my first one related to ChatGPT was exactly that. And I was typing in, create me a blog title for this post. And then I changed it a bit and said, keep it under 60 characters. Did that. And then
yep.
I'd say, create it so it gets clicks, see what it come up with. And then
Ah.
eventually I created this lovely little prompt that was kind of like, give me a clickbait title under 60 characters that will outrank the number one. It was brilliant. And it gave me like
Man.
10 varieties of it. And some of the ones it comes up with, I would have never have thought of.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just kind of like an extension, right? Yeah, I think those are some definitely smart ways to do it. Well, okay, so what about that? What about when GPT-4 comes, or what about when it's and obviously you and I can't read the future. We don't know what's going to
Mm.
actually happen. But I'm just curious. Does any of it worry you in your brands that you're creating? And if it does, like, what do you think things that we can do that are that are smart or
It,
whatever?
again, it doesn't worry me as such. It excites me. It's going to be
Love it.
fantastic compared to what it currently is. When it's gone out there again and read every piece of content that it can openly read, and that's what it's going to do. Apart from, I believe, private membership groups and Facebook groups, it can't get inside those. But anything that's publicly shared on the internet, it can read, and that's where it's going to go out. It's going to go out and read all that, get fresh content. It's going to be more real-time content. It'll be very, very interesting. I'm sure they're going to make some big improvements on it. I think it'll hit information content quite hard. If you want to ask the question, I always revert to this because my first ever successful website was a pet website. If you want to say, can rabbits eat lettuce? The informational content, it's anybody's going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Now, is that going to mean if you plow 1,000 articles like that on your website, you're going to be successful? No, because everybody else could do the exact same thing. But if you had a pet rabbit and you had several different types of lettuces and you was doing a video where you tested your rabbit, see which one it liked, and did it leave that one and did it eat the stalk of that one, that's the kind of real interesting data that will outrank it. And you can say, hey, they can, but my rabbit prefers this, and it just will not eat this rabbit because it's 90% water and blah, blah, blah. That's the kind of content that we're going to want.
I'm totally with you. And then actually, while you were giving that example, I just thought about like just the branding aspect of building a brand. I'm like, man, what if your pet rabbit's kind of cool and it's got a little necklace or a little t-shirt, it's got a personality, and then people are coming back to follow your rabbit
Yeah,
because your rabbit is cool or
there
whatever,
is there is one. There's a rabbit on YouTube that's got something like 3 million followers,
Oh, this is
and
crazy.
she basically takes the rabbit to the beach, everywhere,
That is
and
great.
people follow just for the rabbit. But she's got a website, so she writes some helpful information. But it's mainly a YouTube channel with like 3 million subscribers. She does all the sound stuff, where like the rabbit's just crunching lettuce, and she records the sound of it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
ASMR stuff.
Yeah, she does
Oh,
all that. It's crazy. It's got something like 14 million views for a rabbit eating lettuce for a minute.
funny. I'm actually of all the things for me to write down and make notes of while we're talking, I just wrote down rabbit YouTube channel. I was like,
I
I gotta
will
go.
I
I
will
gotta go
send you
find this
I will
thing.
send you the link. Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's actually, some of it's quite good.
I just have crazy respect for anyone that creates a brand around unique things or interesting things. And honestly, what she's doing or what she's done, um, I would argue kind of fail safes her against being, swallowed up by some AI. Maybe she can use tools to actually enhance what she's doing. And I don't even know if her goal is to create a brand. I have no idea. I don't know. But obviously she has millions of YouTube followers. So,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah. Well, it's like you said. I mean, the opportunities are out there with anything. Whether it be written blog posts, whether it be using AI to do that, whether it be YouTube. You go into ChatGPT and say, give me 10 ideas of setting up a YouTube channel where I don't have to show my face. And it's going to come up with ones where you're like, oh, wow, I never even realized that. And I do know a couple of crazy YouTube channels that's out there. I won't mention them because a couple of them, the niches are really, really unusual. But yeah, just things that you just would not realize people watch. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's wild. Let's see. All right, so I think we talk about we talk about your what does your so with your website, you're going to focus on your one main brand. What does your kind of structure look like? Do you have any sort of team or anyone that helps you consistently, or is it mainly you and some like freelance writers? Like what does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's mainly me not doing a lot. It's the team. I've built a team over about 4 years now. So it's consists of 2 editors, 11 writers, and myself, really. So yeah, that's I'm just trying to think. I have 2 VAs. Kind of one's a full-time VA, does all the editing and controls and manages.
Okay.
One lady is I'd say she's a VA, but she does more proofreading. So she will, if we hire a new writer, she's the one who'll check them out, see if they're doing a good job. And we'll run it through Copyscape, we'll run it through plagiarism checks, and we just do a lot of background checks for the first few months until we know that writers kind of trustworthy
Right.
and writing good quality content. And then we pretty much assign them onto the website, and that's it. So my role basically is each month I do the keyword research. I give 25 keywords or article titles to each writer, and they have as long as it takes within that month to do that 25. Often they will come back to me and say, I've done it, and I'll issue some more. And then every Monday I pay the bills, which is a hard task. And there's a lot of money goes out on a Monday, and that's it. Basically, my editor does the majority of the work. He'll be watching this back, so I'll give him 100% credit. He literally does about 10 hours a day editing, creating infographics, adding charts, everything. Literally does everything. So but it's taken a long while to get this. It took 4 years
Yeah.
to get a team like I've got now, and I do feel like we're at a really good position with the team.
Yeah. Does how do you guys communicate? Like or how do you structure all the work? Do you use a tool? Like what software do you use for that?
We have a quite a simple spreadsheet, and it may sound very untechy, but it just works. And the reason why we've tried Upwork, we tried ClickUp, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We tried all the tools, and the feedback I got from the writers was, if you imagine, like in these tools, you create a massive workflow. So it's like one tab for keyword research done, another tab for assigned it to the writer, another one for started writing, then another one for in draft, then another one for proof. You end up with like 15 tabs where we spent more time moving things about. The writers came back to me and said, I spend more time in that tool than I actually do writing your articles.
Yeah.
It's just before you just gave me a keyword, I put it to draft, the VA would proofread it, the editor would edit it, and you would click publish Cal, and then you pay me. It was like a 5-step process. Why have we made this so complicated? So we've gone back
Yeah.
to just this spreadsheet. It's a nicely colored, very organized spreadsheet, but it's just a spreadsheet.
Well, you'll be so we talked about I think before we started recording, I just mentioned Mushfiq Sarkar because I had interviewed him or like whatever. We had a chat, and that is what basically he uses. He used to use Trello as a
Yep.
project management tool, and then he was like, actually, we use Google Sheets. I was like, interesting. I was like, why'd you stop using Trello? And for him, it had to do with like partnering with people on websites, and he was like, well, I didn't want to force the partner to do what we were using. And so that's what they wanted to use. They had kind of a simple system inside of spreadsheets. And yeah, I think it's interesting to ask people. I'm going to try to make sure I always ask people that because I feel like the answer is there's no perfect solution. It's kind of like whatever works best for the system that you've created,
Yeah, I mean, there must
Um,
be a level where you need, systems.
yeah,
Like I said,
yeah,
I went to this event in America recently, and the lady showed a chart on the screen. And she had like 40 writers, about 10 editors, and I was like, she was
yeah,
like, we couldn't manage all that without some system like this, and I get that. But
yeah.
for 11 writers, I've got 11 writers. And for anybody just outsourcing a bit of content, I did start with just outsourcing all my content just to content writing services. That's how I started. I did everything. I think then my first one was First hire was a regular writer, and then maybe two. I only got a VA after 3 years, I think it was. And that was only really just to help out with a little bit of proof. My English and spelling and grammar is terrible. So that was my first, literally, like, can you help me out? But a full time editor, that's only just recently happened.
Got you. Yeah, very cool. I feel like processes are always like adjusting and changing in motion, and I think it's normal. Like mine has been as well. Over the last couple of years. Does your team connect? Like, are they connected with each other or not at all?
No, the only thing we do is email. I tried doing I thought about doing a WhatsApp group, but they're all over particular parts of the world. So
Yeah.
for because it is my main website I'm working on now is a travel website, and
Okay.
it's a global. It covers everywhere. So what I've tried to do is hire writers from particular regions. So I have a writer based in Canada. She writes all the Canadian content. I have a writer in Spain, and they'll do all the Spanish content. So we try and get a writer all over the place. So we've got
That makes sense.
somebody who does each region. So they're more knowledgeable. So if I want to write any content around where I live here in York, nobody's going to know it better than me. So I would try and get a writer who lives around here. So trying to get all them in a WhatsApp group at the same time zone around the world, it's literally impossible. So the only thing I do now is we have once a month, we'll have a newsletter that goes out, or an email, copies everybody into it. And that's it, really. That's the group communication. And then the editor, my VA, basically contacts them on a one-to-one basis pretty much every day. But it is always email.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious, like, like we're in this interesting space. It's kind of a micro company, right? Like a number of people that over time, when you form it, they become, they stay with you and they want to be there and they're part of the team. And so that's like something I'm trying to figure out. Like we had a few actually monthly calls so my folks are connected on Slack. Like we're kind of, as things move kind of through a process, people kind of ping each other and they're like, oh, this is now here. So we kind of move things through some steps. And we did a couple of calls that were like real low key. I was like, hey, just show up. We'll just chat, just kind of whatever, get to know each other. If you have questions about what's going on, like you can bring them. And we did it for a few months and it was cool, but definitely not necessary and definitely don't want to force any type of like team building or anything
Yeah.
like that. But that's just something that I'm kind of figuring out as we go forward. Like, how can this work? Can we build like a culture,
Yeah, I just think for me, most people that are in this industry, especially when you're hiring writers, they're often, majority of them are doing it in their spare time, and they're doing it because it's a no pressure way of making some money. They've
Yeah.
no time commitments. As long as you say, listen, get that article back to me in the next 7 days, they can write when they want. They don't have to speak to anybody. They can just quietly go away and do it. I
Yep.
think putting them pressures of them you got to jump on a conference call at 6 o'clock. I hate that. I mean, it takes me a lot, believe it or not, even though I'm on YouTube, even though I'm on a stage at Affiliate Gallery, it takes me a lot to jump on a camera with somebody and you start doing that, giving them instructions, and
Yep.
it feels like I've gone back to the corporate worlds.
To
I try and keep
totally.
it as freelance as possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great feedback. That's a good point. Yeah, because for me locally, like in my city, so many people do lunches and they do like business lunches and stuff. And that is the worst. I'm like, for me, I'm like, that is the worst. I'm like, first of all, I have to go somewhere, and then it's like right in the middle of my work day. For me, a
Yeah.
business lunch is like the most unproductive meeting or connection I can do. And I don't know if that's just my attitude, but I just feel like, man, I could do so much better in how we can kind of chat or work together or whatever. So duly noted. I take your note with my team, and yeah, and I want them to give me feedback and like what they want. And I just want everyone to, as we kind of grow in what we're doing, I just want people to feel involved and feel a part of the team.
Yeah.
And if they want to work with us like long term, I want them to do that as well. But I hear what you're saying about, yeah, writers, like a lot of them being part time,
I
which
mean,
which
some
is
might
a
some
great
might
point.
do it. I mean, if you've got, if I sent an email out and said, hey, 11 writers, I'm going to jump on a call. If anybody wants to jump on, come and meet me, say hi. That's absolutely fine. And if they want to do that, that's fine. But I have some that are just like, yeah, I just want to write for you, Carl, and just pay me and I'll write and that's it. Fine, if
Totally.
that's what you want to do. But I have one, right. My first ever writer was really weird, really random story. But my first writer, after about a year, said to me, because I started doing YouTube. So she was writing for me. She was like, you're on YouTube, aren't you? I was like, yeah. She was like, do you live near so-and-so place? And I said, yeah. Do you live at the house on the corner with the like white door? Like, yeah. She
Oh,
was
wow.
like, I know where you are. And I was like, oh, she's stalking me. She was like, I literally live across the street from you.
No way.
And I hired her on, I think it was on Upwork or something like that, just really, really random. Yeah, and it was for a tropical fish website that I had, and she'd been writing all this content about garden ponds. And she was like, "Do you know the reason I'm doing it?" I was like, "Why?" She's like, I built my own pond, and it's my pride and joy." And I was like, "I wondered why your content was so good." She said, "Yeah, if you walk over the street, you'll see it."
You were literally next door neighbors, like
Yeah,
lived across from each
yeah,
other.
literally about 100 yards away from my house. Yeah,
That
she
is
wrote for me for a couple of years until she, yeah, did a different job and stopped writing. Yeah, but how crazy is that?
yeah, people say small world, that kind of gives it a whole new meaning, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, also at the affiliate gathering, I jumped off a stage after doing a slot on stage, and these three ladies walked up to me and they were like, "Hey," and they were throwing their arms around me, and I was like, "Hello," and they were like, "Oh, it's fantastic." And then it all kind of went quiet, and then I looked at them, they looked at me, and they went, "You don't know who we are, do you?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "We're three of your writers."
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Oh, that's so good. But yeah, that's the thing that takes the virtual world and makes it real, right? When you're so that's another reason why I appreciate what you're doing, because everyone that's there that maybe has met and knows each other at like affiliate gathering, they've all connected online. So when you get to like be in person in a room and hanging out, it's just it takes those relationships to a different level too.
Yeah, I think
Which is neat.
even just that, when some people walked in, YouTubers that I knew and affiliate marketers and I'd seen and heard of, even I was a bit awestruck with some of them. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so and so from YouTube,
Ah,
and I didn't want to go across and say hi, and
yeah,
so even I was a bit starstruck with some people. So sometimes people just want to go meet their favorites, meet people that they
yeah,
see on YouTube, So
for
you
sure.
get that you get that at the fringe events, because the fringe events are held by either speakers or YouTubers or people who have a community, and you can usually tell because like the favorite ones sell out like really quick. But it's amazing to go around and see that everybody's got their own little audience, and people just they all have the favorites. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. All right, I've got a couple more thoughts before I let you go. Are there any tools that you use that you feel like you can't live without? I want to make sure I ask you that.
Ooh, tools. Well, if I split it down for YouTube, I have to use the most basic YouTube editing tool on the planet, just iMovie.
Nice.
I bought like Adobe Pro, I've bought all of DaVinci, I've tried them all, and I always go back to that simple editing tool. I don't want to need to learn how to do something for 3 months before I can get a video up. So simple editing tool on YouTube. For websites, I probably use just images. So Canva, adjusting images and making, featured images better. I use Canva quite a bit. But I'm a big believer in keeping the tools to the minimum. I really, one thing I don't like is paid tools. I just hate monthly fees going out every month. And you realize, I haven't used that tool for 4 months and I've just
Yeah,
paid a subscription. One happened to me recently. I just suddenly got a bill for like $450. And I was like, I had it on auto renew, and I'm like, I
annual.
haven't even used it for a year, and it's
Yep.
just charged me $400, So I try not to use as paid tools if possible. I use a lot of the free tools, so keyword research, and competition analysis. Use Uber Suggest, use SEMrush free. You get like so many searches per day, and it's enough to get what you need for certainly for one or two websites. I don't pay
Interesting.
for Ahrefs or anything like that. I can usually do a lot of manual keyword research. I use tools inside Ezoic, like Niche IQ. That's got keyword research tools built inside of it. ChatGPT's got keyword facilities you can use. I try and just stay away from as many paid tools as I can, really.
I like that. I like your thoughts there. Yeah, Canva is one of my favorites. I actually have the paid Canva, like Canva Pro or whatever. But yeah,
It's like
that
$10, isn't it?
yeah, it's so
That's
affordable.
affordable.
Yeah, I think it's like $130 a year or something or whatever. And funny on your annual subscription thing, I that's another business too. I found a website that was like to help you track those, and I have a note of it.
All right.
It's actually on my list of to-dos to go in and like plug in things, because I find myself putting subscriptions literally on like my Google Calendar like a month before, and I'm like, go check on this, decide if
Yeah,
you still want it. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way than that for my business. You know what I mean? To be
yeah.
looking at these. tools or subscriptions. So, all right, cool.
I
No,
looked.
that's
I looked inside PayPal because if you go into PayPal, majority of them when you sign up, it's usually a PayPal payment, and it says recurring subscription. And I went in
yeah.
PayPal, and I think it's something like manage my automatic payments, and I had a list of about 30 things that were automatically going out, and I couldn't recognize like
Oh my
hardly any
gosh.
of them. I was just like, stop, 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 stop. If it's important, they'll email me. I just literally cancelled them all.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's yeah. And I've heard of people doing that. Who is it? I think authority hackers.
Yeah,
Anyways, recently I heard him on something. He was like, we have a quarterly meeting where part of that meeting is we review what software, what
what we're
subscriptions
paying
we
for.
have. And he's like,
Mhm.
we typically cancel a percentage of them like at that quarterly meeting and make the decision not using this, yep, using this. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, as you grow your business and tools, like yeah, you have to have management for your, for the tools that you're using, which is really, really interesting. So
Yeah, yeah.
um all right, so I want to ask you this too. Is there anything that you wish people would ask you but they don't?
Oh, that is an interesting one. Yeah.
You like that one? Yeah.
For me, it would probably be if I was going to ask, how would I do this all over again? How would I start? Would I do what's I've done?
That's a
I think
great
that's probably
question.
one. Yeah, I think
Would
I'd
you?
probably.
Carl, I came up with that question. Would you, if you were to do this all over again? Yeah,
I,
no,
I
that's a great.
honestly, I think as you get a little bit successful, you start making money. To go back, the thought process of going back and starting a website from scratch and waiting that 7, 8, 9 month period before you get a dollar, that scares me. And just the thought of doing all that again
Yeah.
would scare me. But it is one, is a solid, proven track of getting to somewhere where you can make reliable income. So, I would always probably recommend people try that, as a solid way of making money online. Would I have tried something else? I think I'd have probably hit YouTube a lot harder and across multiple channels, doing different things rather than sticking to one. I think I've narrowed myself into a little tiny bubble. And I wish I'd have maybe done some other channels as well, maybe even totally different random channels, might not be anything to do with making income online. And I wish maybe I'd tried that a little bit sooner than I got into it. So yeah, I think that's what I'd do.
Interesting. That's good feedback. That's a good. Maybe I'll just borrow your question and I'll ask future people that, and then yeah, because it's a great question.
Because you always start somewhere, but you never think about would I go back and start there again? That's interesting because, like you say, we're not taught this at school. We just fall into this
Yep.
industry usually somehow. And would I fall into it the same way? Would I encourage somebody else to do it the same way? It is quite a painful, slow process. So I don't know if I'd want to put somebody else through that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I might suggest another way of them for doing it.
It's really interesting because people have to there's a lot of learning. Like I feel like I'm
Mm.
still crazy learning so much after like
Oh,
years into it. There's always something like there's always something new, but then there's always as you level up and get to the next level, there's like different things to focus on, I guess. I just
yeah.
feel like there's so much and like maybe people have to kind of scrape their knees the first time. I'm not sure. I mean, that's a great
I,
question
I'm
that you ask.
I'm doing it with my son already. I have 3 boys, and 2 of them are one's into kind of the graphic design, the editing side of it. So he's really interested in that, and the other one's into building websites. So he started building a website, and he was like, let me have one of your websites. I was like, no, you build it on your own. You start from scratch, and he's super excited. Yesterday, he had his biggest day ever. He had $3 in ad revenue, and he sold a product on Amazon. So it's kind of a
That's
$5.
awesome.
It's like a $5 day. And he was like, it's just planted the seed of this is possible, So he's like, I've wrote 18 articles this month. I'm beating it. I want to get to $10, So yeah, I made him start from scratch just
That
because
is awesome.
you
How
need to
how
know.
old how old are your sons?
So he's 25. So I've got a
Okay.
15-year-old, a 21-year-old, and a 25-year-old.
I love it. I love that I love that training that you're giving them. I think it's amazing, especially since they're showing interest and you can kind of guide them through the process. I think it's awesome.
I think the only
Um,
the only thing I did to give him a helping hand was I give him an age domain to start with
ah,
because
yeah,
it wasn't right from scratch because I honestly knew that after 4 months, if he didn't have one click on his website or something, he would have given up. I just know this. I think the age domain give him a little bit of a boost, but it wasn't a fortune. You know what I mean? It wasn't a lot.
yeah.
So it was just, I remember how hard it is. And it takes a really strong person after 6 months to sit there day and night writing content. And after 6 months, only be earning a couple of dollars. It takes a strong, strong person to do that. And I did think it might not be up to that.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. It takes a lot of like faith in the process to be like this works or it will work. Other people, it's worked for them. Age domains, real quick. What are your just kind of general thoughts? I guess obviously you got your son one, so you have some belief in them. I
Yeah,
guess.
I mean, some of them work, some of them don't. I'm not saying every age domain works. I've
No.
been burnt with a couple that
Okay.
didn't work, but I've also seen I purchased one and I built a public case study on it, and it grew faster than anything I'd ever seen
Gotcha.
before. So that definitely works. But I also build them on fresh domains. I think, but even then you can get burned. We had a fresh domain that we did all the background checks on. We went to Wayback Machine. We did everything. Searched for YouTube channels and Facebook groups with the same name. Couldn't find anything. It was as if this was as clean as anything. It was a really good name, so I was very surprised somebody hasn't used it. And we tried building on that, and for about a year and a half, it just wouldn't move. Google hated it, wouldn't index it. It just
Huh.
didn't like it. And when we did further investigation, we eventually found that it had been used before and not for very good things, which was really weird because the name of it didn't warrant it being used for what it was, if you know what I mean.
Interesting. Interesting. How were you able to in the like what was it that you uncovered in the future
So it, it
that
was it was it was a friend of mine, Phil, over a hosting company called spiderweb.co.uk. He
okay.
found it, and it was basically he found some history on the domains. So we were doing Wayback Machine looking for
Yeah.
snapshot of pages, and we're looking for URL, and we couldn't find anything. But he found on a domain registry search that went back maybe 20 years.
Okay.
He found it on that, like way back in the beginning. Probably some of the first websites out there. It had been used, picked up, then it just I don't think it'd been used for anything really, really bad, but just been hit with so many spammy links as time
Yeah.
went on that it was just like a directory for the worst links you could imagine. So we thought that was fresh and clean, and it was, $10 on GoDaddy or whatever. But yeah, we got burnt with that. So, you can have the same success with age domains and fresh domains. Sometimes it is.
Yeah, and imagine your average business person that's going out and, "Oh, I have this domain idea, and I just grab," and they don't know to do even half of the research that you did, Wayback Machine. They're just like, "Oh, that's a cool name. I'll buy it. I'll build my business on it." And if one of their strategies becomes, maybe articles and SEO, and then like they can never, I mean that's so crazy to think that it can have that effect
Just,
for
just,
a
just
long
some
term.
Just sometimes Google just hates it.
Yeah.
Just I've had domains where Google just will not index your content. It just doesn't show it. I kind of say show it any love. It just literally doesn't show it any love. No matter what you do, you can do, as much as you can add, a correct address. You can do all the citations. You can do everything, and it just doesn't like it. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, something's happened to it in the past, and it just does not like it. And that can happen, like say, on age domains as well. But I'd say kind of one out of every 3 or 4. Sometimes you have a little bit of an issue with. But if I had the funds to do it, I would probably always go with the age domains because I do think it gives you a boost, out of the box, and definitely a fresh domain. If it is a totally clean, never been used domain, it is going to take time for Google to understand what you are and who you are, what you're trying to get over, what the message is. So yeah, it's a longer road, but if it is totally clean, totally fresh, it's the safest option, definitely.
Good point. Very good point. That's good. Okay, if people want to link up with you actually and like connect and reach out, what's the best way for people to find you?
Just search on YouTube, Carl Broadbent. You'll find me on YouTube. I have my website, carlbroadbent.com. Anything to do with the event, Affiliate Gathering, just head over to affiliategathering.com. Check out all the social meetings we're doing. I don't know when this is going out, but we've got some big announcements coming out. We're having some
Ooh,
social events that are not here in the UK.
okay.
So we had a few people saying, it's always in the UK. So we've gone further afield. So hopefully there'll be one in your area. And hopefully the next few years, there'll be one right round your corner, hopefully.
Ooh, juicy. I like that. I like that. Okay, cool. Well, guys that are watching, stick around and watch this next video, and then Carl, hang out with me for a few seconds after. We'll do a quick debrief, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Will do. Really enjoyed it. Thanks very much for the invite.